$2 million. That's how much one romance scam network stole from victims in just 18 months. And what makes this case extraordinary isn't the amount of money, it's how they did it. Using stolen identities, AI-generated photos, fake video calls, and a psychological manipulation playbook so refined that even smart, educated people fell for it. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how this network operated, the digital evidence that brought them down, and most importantly, the warning signs that could have stopped it early. Welcome to First Investigates. If you're new here, I break down real investigations, criminal cases, scam networks, digital forensics using the same evidence-based approach that professional investigators use. This case came to my attention through a combination of victim reports and public court filings. What I found when I started digging was one of the most sophisticated romance scam operations I've seen. And the techniques they used are still being copied by scam networks operating right now. Let's get into it. Let me walk you through the anatomy of this scam, step by step. Phase 1, Target Selection. The scammers weren't random. They specifically targeted recently divorced or widowed individuals between ages 45 and 65, primarily women. How did they find them? Facebook groups, dating sites, and public records. Divorce filings are public in most U.S. states, which means anyone can look up who recently filed. Phase 2, The Approach. The scammer creates a profile using stolen photos, often from real military personnel, doctors, or engineers working overseas. They use AI tools to generate additional photos that look consistent. They initiate contact with a warm, thoughtful message, not the obvious spam you'd expect. Phase 3, Building Trust. This is where the scam gets sophisticated. Over 2 to 4 weeks, they have daily conversations. They share personal stories, talk about their values, ask about your life. They create emotional intimacy before ever mentioning money. Phase 4, The Crisis. After weeks of building trust, an emergency happens. Their bank account is frozen overseas. Their child needs surgery. Their business partner betrayed them. They need a short-term loan, just a few $1,000s, and they'll pay you back with interest. Phase 5, The Escalation. Once the first payment is made, the asks continue. Bigger amounts, different emergencies. The psychological trap is that the victim has already invested emotionally and financially. Walking away means admitting they were wrong, which is harder than sending more money. What made this network particularly effective was their understanding of psychology. They knew their victims weren't stupid. Most had college degrees. Many were professionals. The vulnerability wasn't intelligence, it was loneliness combined with hope. One victim I reviewed in court documents was a retired teacher, age 58, recently widowed. She lost $140,000 over 8 months. The scammer had convinced her they were engaged in planning a life together. When she finally realized it was a scam, she told investigators, "The worst part isn't the money. It's that I believed someone loved me." That's what makes romance scams so devastating. They don't just steal money, they steal trust, dignity, and hope. The network operated from call centers in Southeast Asia. Each romance operator had a script and handled multiple victims simultaneously. Their training manuals, which were later seized, showed detailed psychological techniques, exactly when to send a good morning message, when to escalate emotional intimacy, and exactly what crisis scenarios worked best for different victim profiles. They were essentially running a psychological manipulation factory. And it was incredibly profitable. Here's where the investigation gets interesting, the digital evidence that eventually brought this network down. First, reverse image search. The scammers used stolen photos, but they got sloppy. Some of the photos they used appeared across multiple scam profiles. Investigators used tools like Google reverse image search and TinEye to identify the real people whose photos were being stolen. Second, metadata analysis. Some of the photos contained EXIF data, GPS coordinates, camera model, timestamps. One photo showed a location that didn't match where the scammer claimed to be. This discrepancy became a key piece of evidence. Third, cryptocurrency tracing. The scammers eventually moved to requesting payments in Bitcoin and USDT, thinking it was untraceable. It's not. Blockchain analysis tools like Chainalysis were able to trace the flow of funds from victims' wallets through multiple exchanges, eventually landing at wallets controlled by the network operators. Fourth, IP address patterns. When the scammers made video calls using platforms like Zoom and WhatsApp, their IP addresses were logged. Multiple victims' call logs showed IP addresses from the same geographic region, a neighborhood in Southeast Asia. Fifth, the communication infrastructure. The network used dozens of phone numbers and email addresses, but investigators found patterns. Several email addresses were registered from the same IP range. Phone numbers were clustered on specific carriers known for serving call centers. When you map all this digital evidence together, you get a web, and at the center of that web are specific individuals operating from specific locations. Now here's what matters most to you. The warning signs that could save you or someone you love from this exact scam. Number 1, they won't video call in real time. They always have excuses: bad connection, their camera's broken, they're in a secure facility. If someone can't do a spontaneous video call within a month of dating, be suspicious. Number 2, they're always overseas. Military deployment, oil rig, engineering project, medical mission. These professions are the most commonly impersonated because they provide built-in excuses for not meeting in person. Number 3, they fall in love unusually fast. Real relationships take time to develop. If someone is declaring deep love within 2 weeks, that's a red flag. Number 4, they ask for money ever. No matter the reason, no matter the emergency, no matter how convincing the story. A real partner will never ask you for money in the early stages of a relationship. Number 5, their story has small inconsistencies. Dates don't match. Details change. Photos look slightly different over time. These inconsistencies are evidence that the story is fabricated. If you see 3 or more of these signs in an online relationship, please stop and talk to someone you trust before sending any money. The network was eventually dismantled through a coordinated international law enforcement operation. Over a dozen individuals were arrested, and authorities seized computers, phones, financial records, and training manuals. But here's the reality: for every network that gets shut down, 2 more emerge. The business model is too profitable, the risk of prosecution is too low, and the supply of potential victims is too high. The only real defense is awareness. And that's why I'm making this video. If you've been a victim of a romance scam, report it to the FBI's IC3 at ic3.gov. Even if you don't get your money back, your report helps investigators track these networks and potentially stop them before they hurt more people. If this investigation helped you understand how these scams work, please like this video and share it with someone you care about, especially if they're recently divorced or widowed. One share could save someone's life savings. Subscribe to First Investigates for more real investigations. Drop a comment with any questions or with cases you want me to look into. I'll see you in the next case. Stay safe out there. Word count, 1,700 words, actual speech, estimated length, 11:20 at 150 WPM, sections, 7 mid-roll ad spots, 2, at 5 o'clock and 8:30, a sophisticated romance scam network stole $2 million in 18 months using AI-generated photos, fake identities, and psychological manipulation. Here's exactly how they operated, and the 5 warning signs that could have stopped it. Stopwatch timestamps: midnight, the $2 million romance scam 025. Welcome to First Investigates. 1 o'clock, how the scam worked, 5 phases. 3 o'clock, the victim pattern. 5 o'clock, the digital evidence that caught them. 7:35, warning signs to watch for. 9:30, the takedown. 10:30, how to report romance scams. Pushpin resources, FBI IC3, Report scams https://www.ic3.gov FTC scam reporting https://reportfraud.ftc.gov reverse image search https://images.google.com